morning, everyone. Let us now formally open our webinar in this juncture. Disaster preparedness refers to measures taken to prepare for and reduce the effects of disasters. That is, to predict and, where possible, prevent them, mitigate their impact on vulnerable populations, and respond to and effectively cope with their consequences. Disaster preparedness is best viewed from a broad perspective and is more appropriately conceived of as a goal rather than as a specialized program or stage that immediately precedes disaster response. Good morning, everyone. Let us now formally open our webinar. Let us all pay respect to our country, the Philippines, with the Philippine National Anthem, followed by the doxology.
Bayang magiliw, kalas na silanganan, alam ng puso, sa titim mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tulad ka ng magiting, sa mandulupi, di ka pa sisigil, sa dagat at bulok sa simula, sa langit mo mahal, malilag ang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang istak ng watawat mo'y tabu, ay nananginigil, ang bituing at araw na kailan, pang may magdidilim. Lupa ng araw na iwan, ating pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Aming higaya na may mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Dakilang may likha sa kalingat pang-unawa, mangyari ang iyong diwa sa langit at sa lupa. Bigyan mo ng sapat ang lahat sa araw-araw. Turo ang magparaya gaya ng iyong gawa. Iadyan niyo kami sa pagmamataas upang maiwaksi ang lupit at dahas. At samahang lumikha ng pamayanan payapa sa kalikasan, kabuhayan, kakanyahan, paniniwala.
Let me go back, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, everyone. Let us now formally open our webinar. Let us now witness this today's forum titled Disaster Management Virtual Forum, with our prompter being disaster aware is taking actions to prepare. This is brought to us by the Brigada Escuela 2021 and the School Disaster Risk Reduction Management of the Ilocos Norte College of Arts and Trades. Live po tayo ngayon sa Facebook pages ng Ilocos Norte College of Arts and Trades at maging sa The Labor at ang Palihan. Please share it in your Facebook pages so we can reach everyone out there, and they too will be informed of the greatest practices and other vital information our keynote speaker today is going to share about disaster preparedness and resiliency. In the meantime, let us check our participants in this forum. To begin with, I would like to acknowledge the presence of everyone in the administration headed by the school principal 4, Mrs. Shirley Kaday Agsunod, the assistant principal 2, Mrs. Veronica Rabang, and the different units of the administrative department and their heads. May I also acknowledge the teaching force representing the different departments of our school. The languages department headed by Sir Jacinto Pascua, head teacher 6 for English, and Mrs. Margaret Bumanglag, teacher 3, OIC of the Filipino department. The Araling Panlipunan and ESP department under the supervision of Dr. Michelle Bagawisan, at the same time, the School Disaster Management Committee supervising official. The Science Department headed by Dr. Lovelia Agkawili, head teacher 6. The Mathematics Department headed by Mrs. Amirose A. Arieta, teacher 3 and the officer in charge. The TLE-TVE Department headed by Mr. Reggie Yacuna, head teacher 3, and the non-teaching staff of the Ilocos Norte College of Arts and Trades. A warm welcome also most especially to our parents, students, benefactors, and among others who are joining us today in this forum, especially our keynote speaker. Again, welcome and good morning. As we continue, may we now hear from our school principal, Mrs. Shirley Kaday Agsunod, her opening remarks.
Good morning, everyone. It is a great pleasure for me to address an opening remarks on behalf of the Ilocos Norte College of Arts and Trades Administration, Teaching and Non-Teaching Ed Forum. INCAT has been observed as a water lodge during heavy rains. We are affected sometimes with this because water runs through even inside of our classrooms. We have tall buildings and pieces of electrical equipment in our vocational laboratories, which can be dangerous. Hence, we need to be prepared to lessen risk during fire and earthquake. Preparedness is the only way to combat these natural disasters. Just like Noah in the Bible, it wasn't raining when he built the ark. He made it long before the catastrophe, and that made them safe because of the faith, belief, skills, extensive preparation, and the concentrated effort they made during the construction of the ark. Preparation through education is less costly than learning through a tragedy like the victims of Typhoon Yolanda. This is the reason why we designed this webinar, for us to be informed and to be equipped with substantial knowledge about preparedness and disasters and risk reduction. Being prepared for a disaster is like being prepared for any important event in our life. Kung naghahanda tayo pag may party or birthday celebration, o kung may darating na mga bisita sa ating pamilya, ganutin din sana ang isagawa natin sa maaring mangyaring sakuna dulot ng pagbabago ng panahon. Very properly today, we must build up dikes of courage to hold the flood of fears. Together, we stand for the future, for ourselves, and for the next generation. To our guest speaker, Mr. Marshall Tabihe, who will be introduced later, sir. To our school assistant principal to Mrs. Veronica Rabang, who will be having her birthday tomorrow. Advance happy birthday, sister. To our beloved department heads, Dr. Lobelia Agcavili, Mr. Jacinto Pascual, Mr. Reginald Lacuna, Mr. Noli Joaquin, Mrs. Ami Rosarieta, Mrs. Margaret Bumanglag, and to the department head in charge of this activity, and at the same time, the SDRRM coordinator, Dr. Michelle Bagawisan. To the overall Brigada Escuela coordinator, Mr. Mark Joseph Pastor, and his BE staff. To our MC, Mr. Baby Rodel Dakiwag, our beloved teachers, parents, students, and to our guest technician, Mr. Dictory Juan. Other viewers, may I now offer you the first package of this activity. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Indeed, it is brilliant to know that you continue to be supportive of the different programs and activities we are conducting for the 2021 Brigada Escuela in NCAT. Disaster preparedness is a broad notion that encompasses a collection of actions aimed at reducing the negative consequences of a disaster, such as loss of life and property, as well as disruptions of livelihoods. Disaster preparedness includes ways for accelerating emergency response, rehabilitation, and recovery, as well as providing efficient, timely, and targeted assistance. Here's to introduce our keynote speaker to help us get prepared for unprecedented disasters. Please welcome Mr. Samuel Brian Ramos, Teacher 3, to introduce our keynote speaker in this forum.
Thank you, Sir Baby. To the school officials headed by our debonair principal, Mrs. Shirley C. Agsunod and Mrs. Veronica S. Rabang, the members of the faculty and the administrative staff, to our participants, good morning to everyone. I am honored to introduce to you our keynote speaker for today's webinar, and we are indeed fortunate this very hour to have been graced by a person with a resounding credibility to share his expertise. Our speaker hails from Barangay 23, Lawag City, and he is a graduate of the Northern Luzon State College Laboratory Elementary School, now the Mariano Marcos State University College of Teacher Education Laboratory Elementary School. He went to Mariano Marcos State University Laboratory High School for his secondary education. And for his tertiary, he graduated at the Divine Word College of Lawag City with the degree Bachelor of Arts in Economics as cum laude. Along his journey of 32 long years of being in the service, he has been an economist and a focal person in disaster risk reduction of the province, and he was blessed to pass his licensure examination as an environmental planner in 2018. And after a year, he was appointed as the local Disaster Risk Reduction Management Officer. Ladies and gentlemen, may I now present to you our speaker, the local Disaster Risk Reduction Management Officer of the province of Ilocos Norte, our very own Mr. Marcel N. Tabihe.
Thank you very much for that generous introduction, Sir Brian. Am I coming clear? With my audio, am I coming clear?
Yes.
Okay. A pleasant morning to all our participants in this disaster management virtual forum with the theme Being Disaster Aware is Taking Actions to Prepare. At this point, may we express in behalf of our beloved Governor, Honorable Matthew Joseph Marcos Manotoc, our profound gratitude for inviting us in this forum, to our organizers, the Ilocos Norte College of Arts and Trades, Brigada Escuela, School Disaster Risk Reduction Management, and to our dear Principal, Ma'am Shirley Agsunod, and our Assistant Principal, to the teaching staff of the school, our dear parents, our students, our sincere thanks. For the past several years, the institutionalization of the Brigada Escuela as part of the programs and activities of all our schools, we have made some significant strides and noteworthy accomplishments to make better our schools more conducive to learning for our students. Thanks to all of you. This forum is indeed timely, as it is the provincial government of Ilocos Norte's advocacy to reach out to all our stakeholders and kakailians in disaster management. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, we have gone to several schools for briefings, for lectures, and earthquake simulation exercises. The pandemic, however, limits our physical movement to do this in the meantime. It is also very timely, as it has always been, for this virtual forum to share with you some insights on disaster management. We have prepared a presentation for earthquake, as this particular hazard can occur anytime, anywhere in our community. Why earthquake? This is one hazard that science and technology cannot at this point accurately predict when and where it will happen. Anytime, it may or may not, but being aware and prepared will make this particular hazard, the impact of this particular hazard, less likely to bring casualties and other damages to our communities. To begin with, may I start sharing my screen, please? Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. The provincial vision of the province of Ilocos Norte, under the dynamic and able leadership our beloved Governor Matthew Joseph Marcos Manotoc is narimat nga arapaap hintay amin maragpat. A brighter future we can all achieve. Well, as we all know, I'm sure you have heard this Republic Act 10121, otherwise known as the PDRRM Act of 2010. So this is an act strengthening the Philippine Disaster Risk Reduction and Management System, providing for the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Framework, institutionalizing the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Plan, appropriating funds thereof, and for other purposes. Particularly, Section 2 of the RA 10121 provides to adopt a disaster risk reduction and management approach that is holistic, comprehensive, integrated, and proactive in lessening the socioeconomic and environmental impacts of disasters, including climate change, and promote the involvement and participation of all sectors and all stakeholders concerned at all levels, especially the community. So from this, we can see the objective of this RA 10121 is to involve the involvement and active participation of all of our stakeholders. That is you and me and everybody. So what are we preparing for? For the province, these are the types of natural and human-induced disaster that may happen in our locality. First, the tropical cyclones. Associated with this are flooding, storm surges, and for earthquake, the possibility of a tsunami, landslide can also happen. Human-induced, like fire, insurgency, terrorism, among others. And lately, emerging infectious diseases, which is the COVID-19. The World Risk Report in 2020 ranks the Philippines 9th among all countries in the risk index. The Philippines is vulnerable to almost all types of natural hazards because of our geographical location. We always hear the word the Philippines is within the Pacific Ring of Fire. This is why such a term? Because the Philippine archipelago occupies the western rim of the Pacific Ocean, a most active part of the Earth that is characterized by an ocean and circling belt of active volcanoes and earthquake generators. By definition, earthquake is the shaking of the surface of the Earth resulting from the sudden release of energy in the Earth's lithosphere that creates seismic waves, whether natural or caused by humans. Earthquakes are caused mostly by geological faults, also by volcanic activity, landslide, mine blasts, and nuclear tests. In the province, we have two active fault systems, the West Ilocos fault system and the Bangi fault system, which we later on will discuss as we go along the presentation. Herein are the effects and impacts of earthquake. Of course, we have the ground shaking, which may cause damage to buildings, houses, roads and bridges, dams, and schools. And earthquakes don't kill people. Building do. Ground rupture, these are structures adjacent to the fault, which will structures adjacent to the fault will survive, while structures built across the fault will collapse. So it is very important for us to know the exact location of these faults for us to declare them as no-build zones. We have been, this has been also one of our advocacies in the PGIN, especially in the formulation of the land use plans of the different LGUs, for them and for us to identify these areas so that we can regulate or prohibit building structures along fault lines. Liquefaction is a process by which groundwater, sand, and soil combine during a moderate or powerful earthquake, resulting in a quicksand-like process. And another is tsunami, giant waves generated by a powerful earthquake that can cause considerable damage to lives and properties, and as well as fire. In the province, maybe some of you can still remember that unfortunate day of August 17, 1983, when the province experienced a powerful earthquake with a magnitude of 6.5 that lasted for almost 20 seconds and caused considerable damage to properties and the loss of 16 lives and injuring 47 others. The epicenter of the earthquake is approximately 30 kilometers east-northeast of Lawag City. So you can still remember the Lenos building in Lawag, the Veterans Bank building, the Kaunlaran building in San Nicolas, among others. These were the buildings that toppled during that powerful earthquake. So going to we always hear this, what is the magnitude and intensity? When you say magnitude, it measures the energy release at the source of the earthquake through a seismograph. So this is the magnitude is the level of energy released at the epicenter of the earthquake, while intensity measures the strength of shaking produced by the earthquake at a certain location. It is determined from the effects on people, structure, and the environment. So the nearer your location to the epicenter of the earthquake, the greater the intensity is. So this is the table that gives intensities that are physically observed at locations near the epicenter of earthquakes of different magnitudes. So for magnitude 1 to 3, usually it is an intensity 4, intensity 1 under the modified Mercalli intensity scale, and so on and so forth. Here, from the maps that were provided by the Mines and Geosciences Bureau, we have identified 18 local government units and 101 barangays situated along identified fault lines in the province of Ilocos Norte. Very quickly, we go down the list. In Adams, we have 1, Badok 3, Bangi 1, Banna 7. Batak, we have 9. In Burgos, we have 4. Karasi, we have 3. In Dingras, we have 9. In Lawag, we have 2. In Marcos, we have 6. In Nueva Era, 7. We have 1 in Pagudpud, 2 in Pasukin. We have 11 in Pidig. We have 5 in Pinili. And Vintar 20. This is the most barangays in the municipality of Vintar. So what are the things that we have to do, prepare before, during, and after an earthquake? We always say the key to effective disaster prevention is planning. So we have to be aware of our location, whether it is along an active fault and or prone to liquefaction or landslide, which may inflict damage to certain structures and edifices. Follow proper structural design and engineering practice when constructing a house or building. This is a very important factor to ensure the safety of all during earthquake. There is a building code, the National Building Code, which we must strictly observe in the implementation of our building projects, our housing projects, so that the strength of such structure can withstand the possible effect of an earthquake. Assess the structural safety of buildings and important infrastructure, reinforce or retrofit if found necessary. Yes. Actually, this should be a yearly activity among our building managers, school safety officers, especially for our old buildings, to regularly check its structural integrity and retrofit so that it can withstand any earthquake that may happen in our community. Another is devise a family evacuation plan in case of an earthquake. Select a predetermined location to meet in the event that you are separated. Devise a workplace, school, and community awareness and evacuation strategy. Disaster preparedness, as we have always been advocating, should start from our own families. Because like for an earthquake, we don't know when it will occur. Maybe we are in our house, in our schools. So there is a need really to make a community awareness and evacuation strategy for us to be safer and more prepared for any eventuality. Prepare your place of work, school, and residence for the event. Fastening of heavy furniture cabinets to the wall is great to prevent sliding or toppling. Check stability and secure hanging objects such as ceiling fans and chandeliers, which may break loose and fall during earthquakes. Heavy materials, breakable items, harmful chemicals, and flammable materials should be stored in the lowest shelves and secured firmly, and seal off our LPG tanks securely when not in use. So one of the key to preparing our buildings, our schools, our residences, to be aware of the objects that may compromise our safety during earthquakes. Familiarize yourself with your place of work, school, and residence. Identify relatively strong parts of the building like locations near elevator shafts, near columns and beams, and study tables where you can take refuge during an earthquake. Learn to use fire extinguishers, first aid kits, alarms, and emergency exits. These should be accessible, conveniently located, and prominently marked. Yes, I'm sure our buildings are equipped with our first aid kits, with our fire extinguishers, with an alarm system, and most importantly, our emergency exit points. Prepare and maintain an earthquake survival kit consisting of a transistor radio, flashlight, first aid kit, potable water, ready to eat food, ropes, matches, whistle, dust mask, clothes, and blanket. And conduct and participate in regular earthquake drills. Excuse me. So this is what we call the go bag, wherein we place all our important equipment just in case of an earthquake or any other event that may require us to evacuate. These are the things that we have to prepare. Now, during earthquake, we must all remain calm. If we are inside a structurally sound building, we have to stay there. Protect your body from falling debris by finding shelter in the stronger parts of the building, like near columns and beams, outside the elevator shaft, or getting under a sturdy desk or table. Remember the duct cover and hold that we have to do, especially when it will start shaking. Stay clear from glass windows, shelves, cabinets, and other heavy objects. And watch out for falling objects. Stay alert and keep watch of your surroundings. Now, if you are outside, move to an open area or clearing. Avoid staying near power lines, posts, wall, and other structures that may fall or collapse. Avoid buildings with glass panes. And if you happen to be on a mountain or near a steep hill slope, stay clear from steep slopes which may be affected by landslide. Now, when you are driving a vehicle, immediately pull to the side of the road and stop. Never attempt to cross bridges or overpasses which may have been already damaged. And if you happen to be near shore or in the beach and feel an earthquake strong enough to make one throw off balance, it is most safe to assume that a tsunami is most likely to follow and you have to retreat to higher ground. After an earthquake, once the shaking stops, take the fastest and safest way out of the building and do not rush to the exit, because as we have witnessed and experienced in the past, sometimes our desire to get out quickly may cause stampede and may even result to further casualty during earthquake and other events. Get out in a calm and orderly manner. Bring your emergency kit. Do not use the elevator, use the stairs. Go to an open area or designated evacuation area and check yourself of injuries. Unless you need emergency help, do not attempt to use your landline phone to call relatives and friends. To avoid any interference, disaster prevention authorities that may need the line for emergency communication. Do not attempt to drive around areas of damage to avoid disruption and rescue and relief operations, which will need optimum mobility around those roads. Aid to reduce the number of casualties from the earthquake. Never attempt to enter partially damaged building, as strong aftershocks may occur and these structures might collapse. So initially, maybe the building was not damaged, but due to the often aftershocks of earthquakes, it might compromise the building, which might collapse. And you have to, before entering such building, you have to be aware that all of the columns, the beams, and other structures are safe for you to get in and maybe retrieve some of your belongings. Monitor development and gather disaster prevention instructions from battery-operated radios, and always observe public safety precaution. Another is to check your surroundings. Dispose of chemical spills, toxic and flammable materials properly to avoid any untoward incidents. Check for fire, and if any, immediately extinguish. Check your water and electrical lines for defects. If any damage is suspected, turn the system off to the main valve or switch. If evacuation is needed, leave a note indicating your destination or evacuation site. Well, for our schools, I'm sure we have identified our open spaces. And in CAT, I'm sure we have a big open space where we can designate as an evacuation area in case of the occurrence of an earthquake. So the evacuation plan, the building earthquake evacuation plan should have provisions to utilize all available open spaces nearest the building that are evaluated as safe from falling debris and other materials that may cause injuries. So basically, in our parking areas, in our parks, and other open spaces within the compound of the schools or within our respective residences. We also have to have a flow of traffic and evacuation route. This is also important so that all our emergency responders can access, if ever, areas that may need to evacuate residents of that building, or maybe our students, our teachers, and other school staff. Just recently in 2019, in Mindanao, during the Mindanao earthquake, the death toll was 22. Let me just share to you some pictures of the Davao quake, of a tsunami event. And what is a tsunami? A tsunami is a series of water waves caused by the displacement of a large volume of body of water, typically an ocean or a large lake. Earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and other underwater explosions, including detonations of underwater nuclear devices and other disturbances above or below water, all have the potential to generate a tsunami. So what are the natural signs of a local tsunami? the prominent movement and shaking of the ground, of course, when there is a powerful earthquake, there is the potential of a tsunami event. That is, if the epicenter of the earthquake is along the shore. Unusual sea level changes occur, an abrupt receding and then rising of seawater, and muffled sound of approaching waves is audible. For our safety and preparedness for a tsunami event, do not stay in low-lying coastal areas after a strong earthquake. Seek refuge on higher grounds immediately. If unusual sea conditions like rapid lowering of the sea level are observed, immediately move toward higher ground. And never attempt to watch for a tsunami up close. When waves are visible, escape is nearly impossible. So during the sudden retreat of sea level, interesting sights are often revealed. Fish may be stranded on dry land, thereby attracting people to collect them. Sandbars and coral flats may also be exposed. These scenes tend to attract people to flock to the shoreline, thereby increasing the number of people at risk. Stay out of danger areas until an all-clear bulletin is issued by DOST box or local authorities, as tsunamis consist of several series of events. So, if you can observe during the different advisories that we have in the event of a local earthquake incident, the DOST indicates in the bulletin whether we expect an aftershock, whether we expect some damages. So until there is an advisory that it is safe, then we have to be very careful in treating this particular hazard. So we have 9 coastal areas. Of course, these are most prone to a tsunami event and storm surges. The municipalities of Baduk, Curimao, Paway, the city of Lawag, Bacarra, Pasukin, Burgos, Bangi, and Pagudpud. So we go to the landslide. Landslide is a landshift. It's a geographical phenomenon which includes a wide range of ground movements such as rock falls, deep failure of slopes, and show debris flow which can occur in offshore, coastal, and onshore environments. So this means that landslide can happen within our near slopes and other areas that we have identified to be prone to this particular hazard. So let me just share to you our weather advisory for tropical cyclones, floodings, landslide, and storms as part of our preparedness measures to our counterpart at the city and municipal level. So we issue these advisories when we expect that a potential cyclone or whenever there is thunderstorm and other weather system that may affect the province, for all of us to be safe and secure. So number 1 is inform all barangay chairman and officials in your city or municipality of the incoming typhoon and other weather system, and for them to immediately disseminate the same to all residents and take all necessary precautions preparations, and regularly monitor weather updates. Number two is to regularly monitor the health condition of vulnerable groups. Our elderlies, our senior citizens, our PWDs, our pregnant women and children. Well, unfortunately, in the past, there were some casualties that we have recorded, particularly for senior citizens living alone. So as much as possible, we advise our barangays to always on the lookout for the welfare of our senior citizens and to bring them to the residence of their relatives whenever there is a risk of a typhoon or flooding. Number three, strictly prohibit children and other high-risk groups from swimming, fishing in swollen rivers and creeks, as well as streets. Because oftentimes, so sad to observe that there are still some children walking along the streets, even if we have already experiencing a heavy rainfall. So again, we have to be very careful with this, not only for those children roaming around the streets, but also for the motorists. Because the moment, especially during heavy rains, there is low visibility for motorists. So they might not see these children, and it will pose a risk to both the motorists and those roaming around. Number four is advise all residents to limit outside exposure only when necessary and stay indoors, especially when there are strong winds, heavy downpour, thunderstorms accompanied by lightning. And due to the pandemic, we also have to observe the health protocol of staying inside and go out only for essential services. And number five is advise officials, farmers, and livestock raisers to ready animal shelters in safe and secure areas, and for fishermen not to venture out to sea when there is a gale warning, big waves, strong winds, thunderstorms, or adverse sea weather conditions. Yes, we had incidents in the past wherein there were some who were asking that they be rescued since they are in the middle of along the creek of the river, where they have they get their livestock from along the creeks of the river. And before the onset of any weather disturbance, these livestock must already be secured in a safe and secure area. And again, fishermen, well, we understand it's sometimes they are forced to venture out to sea. But again, the safety of all our kakailian should be first and foremost before we venture into fishing, especially during inclement weather. Advise families to immediately secure dwellings and conduct inspection evacuation centers and ensure their functionality. Now, we have included these evacuation centers must be configured to strictly maintain health protocols, especially with this COVID-19 pandemic. This is a challenge for social distancing and thermal scanning of all evacuees, provision of hand washing areas, and all evacuees must wear face masks and face shield at all times. Ready equipment, dump trucks, rubber boats, our evacuation centers, and ambulances our food packs, our medicines, our search and rescue teams, and other resources, and constantly monitor flood, landslide, and storm surge risk areas. And number 9, implement preemptive and or forced evacuation of residents in highly vulnerable areas to flooding, storm surges, and landslides. This is also one critical area that we have also been requesting for support, since, again, in the past, there was a community and there was already an advice for them to preemptively evacuate, but they did not heed the call and stayed until such time that the water is already rising, and then they called and requested that they be immediately evacuated. So this is a challenge to all our rescue teams, because it might put the lives of both those being evacuated and those going to rescue them. So as much as possible, preemptive evacuation should be observed. And constantly monitor weather conditions and conduct pre-disaster risk assessment meetings and activate emergency operations center if necessary, and submit regular situational report to our office. Well, typically this is the composition of a disaster control group. We have a chairman. Well, in our case, for the province, it's our Honorable Governor, Masi Joseph Marcos Manotoc, as chairman of the council, and an assistant chairman. This is our Honorable Governor Cecil Raneta Marcos, and other staff like the security team, the supply team, transportation team, communication team, warning team, an evacuation team, a fire brigade team, a rescue team, a medical team, and damage control team. So, but this may vary depending on the needs of your schools and other organizations. And what to have during emergencies: first aid kits, flashlights, radios, whistle, cell phone, and your potable drinking water in sealed containers. Non-perishable food stuff, blankets, of course, money and important documents like your the title maybe of your house and other properties, large and sturdy plastic bags, and disaster preparedness and first aid handbook, among others. So let me just share to you the as written by Ms. Rina Jimenez David in the Philippine Daily Inquirer, from the words of Mr. Coratec Jimenez, the former manager of the Metro Manila Development Authority, that there are 4 P's in disaster preparedness. Number 1 is to plan. Before a disaster strikes, develop a family disaster plan, including its members' responsibility, an escape route, and a designated meeting place. Number 2 is to prepare, have all the necessary supplies ready, and a go bag. That's what we discussed earlier, for each member of the family, filled with all the necessities in case of evacuation. Number 3 is to practice. That is, you conduct family, school simulation drills. And number 4 is to protect, to retrofit one's house and surroundings to eliminate or reduce sources of risk. But there is another P, which is above all the most important, which is to pray that we are not confronted by a serious disaster anytime soon, but also that we know how to minimize deaths and injuries in case the big one does occur. That's the end of our presentation. Thank you very much, and let us all walk hand in hand towards further strengthening the resilience of our communities to any type of calamities or emergencies. Agbiag Sirmatani Ilocano, may God bless us all.
Coordinated by Mr. Joseph Pastor, and the School Disaster Risk Reduction Management, headed by Dr. Mitchell Bagawisan. We would like to say thank you to our keynote speaker in today's forum. For your questions and other concerns, let us welcome Mr. Joseph Pastor, the coordinator of the Brigada Eskwela 2021 and a master teacher too, to facilitate the open forum. Sir Joseph, please.
Yes, hello. Thank you so much, Sir Baby Rodel. First of all, I would like to thank our guest speaker for today's virtual forum, dubbed as Being Disaster Aware is Taking Actions to Prepare. So thank you so much, Sir Marcel Tabihe from the province of Ilocos Norte. And yes, my name is Joseph Pastor, and I will be facilitating the open forum for today's discussion. So I would like to encourage all our viewers to type in your questions sa ating comment box so that our speaker will be able to address them one at a time later. And right now, sir, I have a comment. It's not a question. This is coming from the head teacher 6 of our school, Mr. Jacinto Pascua. Sabi niya, sir, thanks for this very comprehensive lecture on disaster preparedness. We all need this. Which is true naman. Very timely po kasi itong discussion natin because you'll never know when disaster will hit our locality. So dapat all the students, the parents, the teachers, and the whole community will be prepared for any disaster that might hit Lawag City and the whole province of Ilocos Norte as well. Sir, tanong ko lang no, personally, kasi in all schools, we have what we call the school disaster management plan. So nagkakaroon kami ng plano set by the school principal and prepared by the school disaster management chair, co-chair, and the rest of the team. So ano po yung maisasuggest nyo, sir, to all the coordinators of our school disaster management para maganda or effective yung mga disaster plan na ginagawa namin for our own respective school, sir?
Thank you, Sir Mark. Well, as in any plan, we have to regularly test and revisit because, well, there might be some improvements as we go along. So we test the plan. If it fits all the necessary areas of concern, then we can say that the plan is good. But as we go along the way, there will always be a room for improvement and for updating and improving the plans that we have formulated. So it is best that we revisit, we test, we take a look of other concerns that we might have missed during the initial preparation of the plan.
I'm sorry, I'm muted. Thank you, sir, for that answer, which is really good kasi nga, you said, sir, we have to test the plan, which is very essential kasi nga, now that we are in the new normal, talaga, we have a different setup. So talagang nagbabago. We have to actually modify the plan kasi most of the students and parents are actually, or all of them are learning from home, learning at home. So thank you, sir, for that.
Yes, Sir Mark. Yes, well, especially during this pandemic, we have to include all the health protocols and other mechanisms that we have to put into the plan to, again, contain the spread of this COVID-19 virus.
Yes, sir. And then recently we just participated in the simultaneous earthquake drill. So we also advise our students to participate. So they also sent documentations, pictures of how they executed the duck cover hold. So in that way, sir, we were able to also give awareness to our students and how to do such preparation during an earthquake. At saka, sir, we have another question. This is coming from the co-chair of the School Disaster Management of our school, from Mr. Rodel Ramos Dakiwag. Sabi niya, sir, thank you, Sir Marcel. Anyway, let me just ask, how is the extent of extending assistance of the LDDRM to schools like ours here in INCAT, sir?
Yes, thank you, Sir Mark, and thank you for the question. Well, we have given some informative materials to some schools, our disaster preparedness handbooks. These are the things that we have shared with our schools. Now, if there are other needs that you would want the province to help you with, well, of course, I am not promising anything, but we can always request, of course, from maybe from generous donors from our successful alumni. We have seen graduates who have been successful in their respective field of specialization, and I'm sure they would be very much willing to help. As far as the province is concerned, you can always request, address to our beloved governor, and from there we can make some recommendations if ever.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sir, we have another question from the chair of the School Disaster Management dito sa school namin, Mr. Goiti Godfrido Amano. I think Sir Goiti would like to ask virtually with his video on. Sir Goiti.
Sir, good morning.
Morning, sir. Good morning.
On your lecture, sir, you tackled about location of the building, the soil structure. Now, sir, I would just like to ask if during the course of building, or yes, putting up a building in our province or in a locality where it is being built by the province, are you or were you invited in some occasion to act as an inspector or give your comment on the structure or structural stability of any building or any structure to be put up with regards to the soil structure? Do you give comments being the PDRRMO?
Well, in my own personal capacity as the resiliency officer of the province, we have created a task force for the assessment of buildings and other structures at the city and municipal level. So ideally, And they also have this building inspection team at the local level. So they go around every time there is an application for a building permit. So they have to see to it that all the requirements are in order. They have to present the plans and other documents before they can start constructing a building. So the task force goes around and assists in the provincial. I mean. But at the city and municipal level, I'm sure they have this is a regular activity, especially before the renewal of like, for example, business licenses and other licenses that may require the assessment of their own structures.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sir Goiti, for that question, and to Sir Marcel for addressing the concern of our chair. Now, sir, I am just wondering, sir, kasi itong virtual forum na to, many students might not be able to see this, not only here from INCAT, but from other schools. So do you have a Facebook page or any platform where check if they want to be updated with all the things that they need to know during disaster preparedness, sir?
Well, principally, we have the provincial government of Ilocos Norte Facebook page, wherein we regularly provide weather updates, weather road conditions, and other advisories in the PGIN page of the provincial government, the Facebook page of the provincial government. I mean, we also have our PDRRMC Facebook page, but better to access the PGIN Facebook page as we have the information that we usually post from our communications and media office are more updated.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, we have another concern here from one of our teachers, Mr. Marlon Kubangbang. Sabi niya, our school is prone to flooding during rainy season. Is there something the province can help us with this perennial problem, because you have more of the machineries and skilled manpower in addressing this kind of situations? Thanks.
Okay. Well, we can always be of help to any government or private entity that may need the help of the province. But first, let us take a look at the source of the flooding. Is it because we have a drainage canal which is clogged, or I know for sure there is a creek along near the school, but I'm not quite sure if this is one of the causes of flooding in the school compound. But first and foremost, we have to identify the source of flooding so that we can properly make the necessary interventions, whether it is cleaning of our canals or putting up some protection to our compound, school compound.
Yes, sir. Kasi I think, sir, what Marlon is telling us is that every time na mayroong ulan kasi, sir, kahit hindi masyadong malakas, binabaha na talaga yung some parts of the school. And I think, Sir Goiti, our chair in school disaster management, can explain to you, sir, so that you have an idea of the situation that we have here in our school. Sir Goiti?
Actually, sir, we have assessed the situation, and we have seen some problems regarding the canal lining in front of Ingkat, and also the Bengang Creek crossing Ingkat that is located in between Ingkat and MMSU CIT. One of the ripraps, the portion of the canal lining inside the Ingkat, that is the Bengang Creek, has eroded. Portion of it has eroded, and we also identified that we lack canal line or canal system or drainage system inside the campus. So those are the identified problems that we have, and we are finding solutions to it, but we need some equipment to do it, like for example the one in front of the school, the canal lining in front of the school, doon sa main gate namin, natabunan po kasi ng lupa. So hindi makadaan yung water doon when during rainy season. Isang kanal lang po ang daluyan ng tubig. Well, in fact, there are 2 canals there in front. So hindi niya kaya yung volume ng rainwater pag masyado nang malakas yung tubig. So nababaha doon sa loob, at saka yung kanal namin sa loob hindi talaga kaya yung volume ng tubig pag masyado nang malakas yung ulan. So those were the problems that we have seen and we have identified. Tsaka medyo mababa na rin po kasi yung daanan or yung what they call this, yung kalsada, talagang may mga mataas na part and lower portion dito sa school. So doon na nag-stagnate yung mga water namin sa loob. So if you could eventually extend your help to us, then we will be very glad, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. Well, okay. I took note of the canal lining in front of the school. This is the P. Gomez portion, sir. Ayan. P. Gomez portion.
Doon po sa may ano, sir, sa inside the school, yung Bengang Creek po kasi dumadaan yan in between na Ingkat and MMSU, at may eroded na portion po dito sa northern part niya. So medyo natabunan po, yung riprap po niya nag-erode.
Okay.
We have identified that as one of the problems. Kaya pag malakas na yung ulan, medyo na ano yung tubig, na nagkakaroon ng ano doon ng clogging. And then dito naman sa harap ng mismong school namin, dito sa main gate, talagang ano na po yun, barado na po yung daluyan ng tubig doon coming from the west side, yung canal coming from west side. So hindi po makadalo yung tubig, kaya pumapasok po yung tubig mismo galing sa kanal sa harap ng school. Project po yan ng city yata. Pumapasok po yung tubig sa school namin, and that will cause flooding also. So instead na magdire-diretso siya going east, kukonek sa Bengang Creek, pumapasok po yung tubig galing sa kanal harap ng school namin. So that also cause the flooding. So imbes na dediretso yung tubig, sana wala na, pumapasok na po sa school. So that is also additional burden on our part, kasi nga parang dito na sa Ingkat nagtutungo lahat yung tubig from the outside.
Okay. Sir, for clarification lang, yung
Sir.
the canal that you say na pumapasok is along what street? Ablan Avenue or P. Gomez Street?
P. Gomez po, P. Gomez, along P. Gomez po. So
Okay,
parang ang hangganan lang ng tubig kasi dito lang sa harap namin. So pagdating niya sa harap, pumapasok na po siya eventually doon sa mismong kanal namin, palabas sana, pero yung tubig sinasalubong, pumapasok na po yung daloy ng tubig sa school.
Okay, Thank you for that information, sir. We will get in touch with the Department of Public Works and Highways First Engineering District, because this is a secondary national road. The Pigomes Street is along a secondary national road. So it is the responsibility of the DPWH to ensure that all the drainage system are working. So rest assured that we will get in touch with the DPWH one, sir. And as to the eroded portion of Bengan Tree, again, first we will inform the city engineering office and our counterpart at the city level for them to take a look and see what we can do to be of help regarding this concern.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Sir Goiti. Thank you, Sir Goiti. Thank you also, Sir Marcel. Ngayon pa lang, we are extending our gratitude for the initial positive response to this concern of our school. And I'm sure other schools might be also facing the same problem. So this is a good platform for us to discuss this. And yeah. So, sir, meron pang isang question from one of the teachers. This is from Mr. Mark Dave Felipe. Sabi niya, sir, with this kind of situation we are facing now, what are the continuing program in disaster preparedness and risk reduction activities? Do you have priorities despite this pandemic, Sir Marcel?
Well, again, as we speak, we have to really focus on the COVID-19 pandemic, as we all know that it has victimized a lot of our province, meaning some we have recorded deaths. There was a time when we were so overwhelmed that all our isolation facilities were full. And we have to really make sure that everybody is protected against this virus. So we have rolled out our vaccination program together with the national government and the different local government units. And this is a continuing threat to our society. So, of course, we are not also, we have to also address other issues like tropical cyclones or flooding. But at this point, we have to really focus our attention on this health concern that we are experiencing right now. And at this point, again, may I again, to all our viewers, because we have observed that even if our campaign for wearing of masks, wearing of shields, social distancing, and to avoid, if not minimize gatherings, there are still cases being reported to the PNP, to our office, that there are still those who fail to observe these health protocols. And it is very unfortunate to hear these things, since we have been into it for almost 1 year and 8 months already. So we have to again, we appeal to everybody, we appeal for your support and cooperation, that we have to really take a look on our health protocols so that we can be more safe and secured from this COVID virus. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I agree with you, sir. when we talk about school disaster, we also include pandemic, no? Because there are actually instances that we might be facing with pandemic, just like now, the COVID-19. So it should be part of the school disaster plan of every school. And it's good that it is one of the priorities of the PGIN right now. Sir, ito we have another question from Mr. Abraham Salvador, another faculty member of INCAT. How can disaster preparedness help lighten the impacts of natural disasters?
Yes. Well,
Yan.
yes. The key to, as Sir has inquired, the key to a successful or to a better management of disaster is actually to plan and to prepare. We have to really emphasize that preparing is the key to any hazard that may happen in our community. Preparation is, as they say, preparations is, we must be always prepared for any eventuality that may happen in our community. Really, we have to really emphasize that we have to plan and prepare for all these hazards prevailing in the province, in our cities, in our municipalities, in our barangays. That is, I guess, the most important key, the most important element in mitigating or lessening the impact of any hazard that may happen in our communities.
Thank you so much, sir. Preparation is the key talaga, no, sir? And as you cited kanina, there are 4 Ps, actually 5 Ps that you have mentioned. We have the plan, prepare, practice, protect, and pray, which is also important. Sir, there is another question here. With this kind of situation we are facing now, no, sir. I'm sorry. This one, sir. In your own assessment, in case a wide range major disaster will occur in the province, how prepared is our province, sir?
Well, again, ever since when it is still before the advent of Republic Act 10121, which, among other things, mandates the establishment of or the organization of a barangay, municipal, city, provincial disaster risk reduction management councils. We have been always put a premium to our preparedness measures, regardless of the event that may happen. We have invested equipments, resources to better protect the province from the advent of any emergency or calamity in the future. We have trained some personnel. Of course, this is in cooperation with the support of all the levels in our government, from the barangay, from the sitios, from the purok to barangay, municipio, cities, and to the province. So I think personally, we are prepared to respond to any eventuality that may occur, God forbid. But again, there are many factors that may contribute to the success or failure of your preparedness measures. And that's why as we go along, as I have mentioned earlier, excuse me, there is a need really to regularly revisit all the plans and all the activities that we are doing right now to better prepare ourselves and make the necessary adjustment in our plans to make it more responsive to any emergency that may happen in our communities.
Thank you, sir. Actually, the key there is we really have to be prepared if ever any crisis, pandemic, or disaster will come along the way. Kaya nga yung hashtag po ng school disaster management natin, sir, is hashtag laging handa.
Yes.
Because that's what we are trying to say to everyone, that we should always be prepared, because throughout the history, you'll never know when a disaster will hit us. So thank you so much, sir. I think there are no more questions. It has been a very nice open forum, exchange of ideas and discussion. So maraming salamat po once again to our guest speaker, Mr. Marcel Tabihe from the Provincial Government of Ilocos Norte. And at this point in time, I would like to give the floor to the host, Mr. Baby Rodel Dakiwag. Sir.
Thank you very much, Sir Joseph. Before we close today's forum on disaster resiliency, may we take this opportunity to award our keynote speaker a certificate of recognition for his scholarly notes shared to us today. May I have the pleasure to read the content of the certificate of recognition. Republic of the Philippines, Department of Education, Region 1, Schools Division of Lawag City, Ilocos Norte College of Arts and Trades, School ID 300373. Certificate of recognition is awarded to Mr. Marcel N. Tabihe in grateful acknowledgement of his active role as a guest speaker during the Disaster Management Virtual Forum organized by the Ilocos Norte College of Arts and Trades on September 25, 2021 through a virtual platform as part of the 2021 Brigada Eskwela with the theme Bayanihan sa Paaralan, held from August 3 to September 30, 2021. Given this 25th day of September 2021 at Lawag City, Philippines. Signed, Mark Joseph D. Pastor, Master Teacher 2, Coordinator of the Brigada Eskwela 2021, and also signed by the School Principal 4, Shirley C. Agsunod, Overall Supervising Official of Brigada Eskwela 2021. Again, thank you to our keynote speaker, Mr. Marcel N. Tabihe, the Local Disaster Risk Reduction Management Officer of the province of Ilocos Norte. To finally close our virtual webinar, here's to deliver the closing remarks. Please welcome Mr. Godfrido Goiti Amano, Master Teacher 2, and the Chairman of the School Disaster Management Committee for the Brigada Eskwela 2021. Take it away, Sir Goiti.
Good morning, everyone. As the Brigada Eskwela School Disaster and Risk Reduction Management Chair for this year, I would like to extend our sincerest thanks to our speaker, Mr. Marcel N. Tabihe, the Provincial Disaster and Risk Reduction Officer, for being with us today, giving important pointers and reminders as we respond to disaster and to reduce risk caused by disaster. Thank you, Sir Marcel. And please extend also our sincerest thanks to our Provincial Governor, Honorable Macho Marcos Manotoc, for his nod of giving you as our speaker. And thank you also, sir, in advance for the help that you will be extending us in repairing or declogging our canal lining in front of the school and the eroded portion of the Bengan Creek, which is situated in between Incat and MMSU CIT. Thank you in advance, sir. And Actually, this is the last webinar to be conducted by the Brigada Escuela SDRRM committee. And this is in response to the Brigada Escuela 2021-2022 activities. But there will still be activities related to disaster resiliency and preparedness to be conducted by the SDRRM. Lastly, I would like to thank the school administration headed by our very own school principal, Ma'am Shirley C. Agsunod, School Principal 4, and her staff, and to Sir Joseph Pastor, our Brigada Escuela overall coordinator. Thank you for extending your help and giving us guidance always. Again, maraming salamat po, and be prepared always. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sir Goiti. Friends, this has been Baby Rodel Sabino Ramos Dakiwag saying, agsakbay maaros tupay. Ngem konakmet, awan tikas itinaridam, tapno disgrasya, maliklikam. Kudos to all of you who shared a moment for another incredible and worthwhile conduct of 2021 Brigada Escuela. Goodbye to all of you and God bless us all. Thank you very much.